Welcome to How Leaders Drive Change. This presentation will focus on three major laws from John C. Maxwell's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Our speaker for this workshop is Dennis Budinich. Dennis Budinich is the Senior Vice President, Chief Culture Officer at Investors Bank. He is a member of the National Speakers Association and has been a speaker for numerous corporate events and at industry conferences across the country. As Chief Culture Officer at Investors Bank, Dennis is personally responsible for executive and management leadership development, employee personal and professional development, employee engagement and recognition. Dennis is also involved in organization-wide education and diversity programs. Immediately prior to joining Investors Bank, Dennis Budinich co-founded FTC Methods, Inc. in 2004. A highly successful professional development and consulting firm which operated primarily in the financial services industry. In his capacity as co-founder, Dennis developed engaging learning programs and was a highly sought-after public speaker, motivator, and educator. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Budinich, for being here today, and please make sure to scan your badges for CEU credits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Hey, welcome. How's everybody doing? Wasn't that a great lunch? Wasn't that really good? Oh, man, loving chicken. That was good chicken. All right, everybody looks happy. That's good. How many more days do you have for this conference? This is it? You get tomorrow. So you get to gamble tonight. All right, listen. Here's the deal. Don't make deposits tonight. Make withdrawals. All right? It's all about taking money out of here, not leaving money here, okay? So thank you. So today we're going to talk about... well, actually, originally the title was How Leaders Drive Change. And I was thinking about it, I said, oh man, I sent the wrong title because that's not true. Leaders don't drive change. Leadership drives change. It's leadership that drives change. And it's interesting because you don't have to be a leader to lead. And that's what I want to talk about today is what is the difference between leaders and leadership. And we were chatting a little bit earlier, and man, is change going on today? Yeah, there's major changes going on today, just like there was always major changes going on. And so we stretch the rubber band. We see how far we can go before we actually make a change to accommodate the new changes. At Investors Bank, my job is to help the organization change along with the change in the marketplace. So my job is to change people so that they can be better equipped to deal with the issues that we have as a bank when it comes to our community, when it comes to the new challenges of being successful. Like we're always being stressed out. How do we get new clients? How do we develop new products? How do we get people to do what they don't want to do? How do we get people to be comfortable being uncomfortable? All that, fill in the blank. So to boil down what I do as the Chief Culture Officer, that's a pretty good title. Isn't that a cool title? Chief Culture Officer? It is. It's cool. And so people always say, hey, what's your responsibility at Investors Bank? Well, I'm going to give you that. So first of all, if you don't have a handout, I apologize. My team did a great job. They created 300 handouts in 3 separate packages. Dennis only took 1 package. So when I called, I said, hey, Deb. She goes, don't even tell me because the 2 packages that you were supposed to take are sitting on your desk. And I said, oh, okay. So here's what we did. We sent a copy of the handout to the association, and they're going to blast it out to you. But if you do have a copy, then you can fill in the blank. If you don't, if you have maybe the program, there's going to be some things I'm going to really encourage you to write down. At least you could take some stuff away today, okay? So we're going to talk about leadership. I could stand here for the next 48 hours and talk about elements of leadership. They only gave me an hour. So I'm going to talk about 3 elements of leadership. And we're going to base it on the book, John Maxwell's 24 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Who's familiar with John Maxwell? Okay. So if you have a leadership position, you should be raising your hand. He wrote about 80 books on leadership. He is world renowned as a leadership leader, teacher, inspiration, development. His organization is known in about 74 countries. on how powerful they are in developing leadership qualities. So if you're in a leadership position, and I think, who has children? You're in a leadership position. I mean, that is the first group of people we lead in our lives. In fact, my personal opinion is my children and grandchildren are the most important people I want to lead. So when we look at leadership, it's a personal thing. It's not like, well, I'm not in a leadership position. Why would I need to know about this? If you're living, you are either leading or you're not leading. And if you have children and grandchildren, it's important that we learn some leadership qualities so that we could have an impact on our children as they prepare for their life. And it's all about leadership. So here's 3 things I do at Investors Bank. This is my job. The first thing, so if you don't have a handout, if you want to write this down, this is my personal information. In the handout, I have it, but if you want to write it down, if you don't have it in the handout, this is where you can get in touch with me. If anyone has any questions, or if anyone says, hey, I got this thing I want to do, could I talk to you 20 minutes on the phone, and could you share with me some insight? I love doing that. I am passionate about what I talk about. I love what I talk about. Could you tell? Okay. No, but this is not like showtime. If you talk to me at lunchtime, I talk to you at lunch. Am I passionate? Okay. Are you passionate? Do you love what you do? Do you love it so much that when someone says, what do you do for a living? You're like, oh, sit down, man. Man, I love talking about what I do for a living. Isn't that important to love what you do for a living? Of course. So I'm going to ask you to write something down right now. Paul, you have to write down. You have to get ready, Paul. Come on, everybody writes down. So I had someone the other day, I was doing a presentation the other day, and someone says, I have it all right up here. I remember it right up here. And I said, good, tell me my name. And he's like, I don't remember. And we just told you 5 minutes ago, right? Here's something to write down, or you could do it on your phone. So don't wait till you're thirsty to dig a well. Don't wait till you're thirsty to dig a well. You're writing that down. Don't wait till you're thirsty to dig a well. It's leadership principle number 1. Good leaders don't wait till they have to do something. They do it before they have to do it. And we could take that right into the family. I'm not going to start telling my kids how important it is to hang out with the wrong people when they start hanging out with the wrong people. I tell them before they hang out with the wrong people. That's what leaders do. So when we lead our family, we're always ahead of the game. We're always thinking 5 steps ahead. I am talking about things that didn't even happen yet. I'm not going to talk about it when I'm in the middle of it. I cannot buy my wife flowers when she tells me she wants to leave me. It's too late. Flowers, I already went to the lawyer. A little too late, right? So think about that when you're running your team and when you're running your staff and when you're looking at your family. Am I waiting to do something when I really have to do it? Or is it better to do it now so that I don't have to do it? We could apply that to health too. You know, some people start to eat healthy when they're told they're sick. Why wait to dig the well when you're thirsty? So I had a neighbor, before I get into this, I had a neighbor, Alice, who lived across the street from me. I live in Clinton, New Jersey. Anybody from around Clinton, New Jersey? Do I have any administrators? Yeah, we got Clinton right in the back. Hey, go for Clinton. All right. So I found out she had ovarian cancer. I didn't know Alice that well. But when I found out she had cancer, I was like, well, I gotta go over there. So I went across the street, knocked on the door. The husband, Jim, opened up. He said, hey, neighbor, how you doing? I said, Jim, how you doing? He said, not too good. And I said, I'd like to come in. He said, yeah, come on in, talk to Alice. So she just found out she had ovarian cancer maybe 2 days before that. So I come in and she goes, hi, neighbor. I said, hi, how you doing? And she said, you're a motivational speaker, right? And I said, well, I try. She goes, well, sit down and motivate me. I need some motivation. And I'm like, whoa, like, I don't even know where to start with this. So we sat, and for a year, we sat every Sunday for 1 hour. I just did it. And I learned so much from her. But here's what I learned the first day that I met her. She goes, you know, when they told me 2 days ago that I was going to die from cancer within 15 months, I woke up. I was like, what do you mean you woke up? She goes, you know, everything I thought was important before that meeting became unimportant. And everything I haven't thought about in the last 20 years, I started thinking about. Like the first thing I thought about were my children and my grandchildren and the time I spend with them and the quality of my life. See, all of that became important. And all the other stuff I was worried about totally disappeared. I don't even remember what I was worried about. She goes, so I made a decision. I am dying happy. I said, good for you. She goes, I waited too long to be happy. She goes, so when you go around, you talk to groups, you share their story with every group, and I share her story with every group, no matter what the topic is. And she said, tell your audience, don't wait to start living when you find out you're dying. Just start living. And so leadership, taking a lead in our lives, is that decision to start living. I want to take the lead. If it's losing weight, take the lead. If it's building great relationships, take the lead. If it's making tough decisions, take the lead. If you see something broken and you think you can affect it, take the lead. We need leaders. Our children need leaders. Our organizations need leaders. Our municipalities need strong leadership. We need it. We don't have enough of it. So what do I do for the bank? First thing I do is I create hope. My job is to bring hope to the workplace. You know how hard that is? I mean, that's like really hard. I mean, I struggle with this every day. But that's what we do. We bring hope. See, we try to create a bright future for 2,400 people. We want people to know, when you work here, you have a bright future, even if it's not with the bank. You could create your future. Don't be stuck. You know, you don't have to be stuck. If you think your life's not fine, that's fine. But tomorrow could be better. Next year could be better. In fact, every employee, I do personal development, and they have to spend 10 weeks with me. Could you imagine? They have to create vision boards. In fact, we have somebody here. Did you create a vision board when you took my class? Yeah, he was at a bank, and vision boards. You know why? Because I want every employee to visualize a bright future. Now, there's something about hope. There's a quote. Hope in the future. Oh, this is a good one. Write it down. Write it down. You'll lose it. No, write it down. Hope in the future is power in the present. See, when we have a hopeful future, how does that feel when you think about the future being hopeful? It's powerful. It energizes you. It's like, wow, I think next year is going to be better. How does that feel? I feel good. I feel energized. See, hope in the workplace creates energized employees. Hope at home creates happy families. It creates energized families. What I want everyone to leave here with is what you could take home. Because what you take home, you'll also bring to work. Right? So it really starts at home. So the second thing is optimism. I want our people to look at the bright side of things. I want people to say, hey, you know, this isn't right, but we can make it better. I got a flat tire, but at least I didn't get in a car accident. I got in a car accident, but at least I didn't get hurt. I got hurt, but I have health insurance. See, you could always put a spin on things. It's like that wrong number at 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you ever get that wrong number at 2 o'clock in the morning? And you're like, oh, man. And you pick it up and you're like, hello. And they're like, hey, is Tony there? No, there's no Tony here. And you hang up, you know. And you know what usually happens? They call again. Because they think like they were up by one number. So they call again, like, hey, Tony. There is no Tony here. And you hang up, and then maybe if you have someone there with you, and they say, hey, who is that? Just knucklehead looking for Tony, man. Now it's going to take me an hour to fall asleep. You know, some people could look at that as a disturbing event. But I'm going to tell you something. Here's how you could shift your thought. Would you rather have the wrong number at 2 o'clock or the right number? Nobody wants the right number at 2 o'clock in the morning. See, because when you get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's usually not good news. So now you say, well, wait a minute. So that wrong number is actually a blessing. Yeah, it reminded you that we're a phone call away from something bad but it's not tonight. You see, so you see how you could shift your thoughts, and all of a sudden you create new energy. Optimism is so important today, because if you turn on news, who's familiar with 10-10 wins? Right, 10-10 wins. That's the news channel. You give us 22 minutes, we'll tell you the world, right? That's not true. They should change the tagline. They should say, you give us 22 minutes, we'll make you feel depressed. That's true. Because in 22 minutes, they tell you everything that's wrong with society, everything that's wrong in your local area. They depress you, and then you got to go to work and make something great happen at work. And here's my suggestion. Going to work is your opportunity to prime your day. Don't listen to the news. Rule number one, don't listen to the news coming. If you like country music, listen to country music. You like the Eagles, listen to it. You like gospel, listen to gospel. You have a book that inspires you, buy it on tape and listen to it. But don't go to work being primed to feel bad. And what the news does is it primes us not to be optimistic. Stay away from that stuff. I have a rule at home too. We don't talk about work for the first 20 minutes we get home. We don't talk about work. We have to wait 20 minutes. And you know what happens after 20 minutes? We don't talk about work. And that's okay, because I don't want to eat chicken cutlet and then burp it for the next hour. I don't want it. I know, I'm so unpolitically correct, all right? So it's okay, but that's the way it is. And here's the next one, happiness. Happiness in the workplace. Oh, wow, is that really important? Let me tell you something. 10 years ago, I would be laughed at. No one's laughing about happiness in the workplace today. No one. It would show ignorance if you think that happiness is not important at work. The biggest companies in the world realize that has been the missing link. We haven't paid attention to happiness. Happy people work harder. Happy people are more creative. Happy people make less mistakes. Happy people are just nice to hang out with. I mean, really, who works with a knucklehead? All right, you know how it is around that. They smother creativity. They smother sharing. Happy people draw the best out in people. And so happiness in the workplace is a big deal. Well, I'm going to show you some books to read that cover a lot of these topics, because we need to educate ourselves on this. And the first place we take it is home. A happy home. Well, you could turn a house, you could turn a 3-bedroom house into a 3-bedroom happy home. And that's determined on how happy everyone is. And happiness is a big deal today. So if you Google happy, don't do it right now. But if you go into happiness and you say, well, how does happiness affect my health? Slam dunk. I don't even talk to people when they don't agree with me. They say, I don't think happiness affects health. I have no time. I'm going to go get a bagel. It's more important for me to get a bagel than to discuss happiness about health. That's a slam dunk. Health is associated to happiness. Prosperity is associated to happiness. Relationships are associated to happiness. Everything in life is associated to how we look at happiness. And so take happiness seriously. Happiness doesn't happen either. Happiness is a choice you make every day. And you say, today, I'm going to be happy. In spite of him. I'm going to be happy. You may have to say that 5 times before lunch. But however many times it takes to stay in a good space, that's the effort you got to put in, because it means so much. In fact, if you look at any type of religion, any type of scripture, it says, guard your heart. And what it means is, guard your spirit. Don't let someone put toxic garbage in your spirit, because it'll affect you and your ability to lead. Because if it's toxic, you're going to share it with others. And that all has to do with leadership and optimism and happiness. So that's what I do for the bank. And so let's get to work. I want to show you something that I think is pretty amazing. And then we're going to associate it to leadership.
Finally, tonight, we're going to show you something you won't believe. And we're not sure we believe it. But our Nick Watt saw it, photographed it, and we're going to show it to you. Now, for purposes of comparison, take a look at this. This is a ball of thread, and a sewing needle. And the eye of that needle is so small that most of us have a dickens of a time trying to get a thread through it. But now imagine an artist who can create an entire work of art inside the eye of that needle. Here's Nick.
Perched on that pinhead is a $300,000 sculpture. Under the microscope, an elephant carved from a fragment of a grain of sand.
I had to really scrape and just take my hand away and scrape.
The tail is a dust fibre plucked from the air. Wigan's sculptures are all smaller than the head of a pin or the eye of a needle.
Do you enjoy this?
I enjoy it when I finish it. Not working on it, no. It's misery. It's painstaking.
He uses tiny homemade tools and paints with a hair plucked from a housefly's back.
That is a bit where the psychiatrist probably needs to see you afterwards.
He gets satisfaction from other people's amazement.
Is there static? There it is, there it is. There's a static moving it. I'm not doing that. There's a static again.
Disaster can strike at any time. It struck Alice in Wonderland.
I was carrying her towards a needle. And then I looked again through the microscope and she'd gone, disappeared. I think I inhaled her.
And if it all goes wrong, calmly, Wigan starts again.
You know, I think I'm the most patient man on earth.
This obsession began when Wigan was a lonely 5-year-old.
I have learning difficulties. You know, I can't read or write, but I had to find a way of expressing myself.
He started making houses for ants. Recently, he made this doll's house. That doll is the size of a human blood cell.
The teachers at school made me feel small, so they made me feel like nothing. I'm trying to prove to the world that nothing doesn't exist.
That less can be more.
People haven't seen the best of me yet. I'm going to take it smaller.
Even smaller than Charlie Chaplin balanced on an eyelash. Nick Watt, ABC News, Birmingham, England.
Told you wouldn't believe it. Willards has sold his life's work to a collector for $20 million. That's world news for this Wednesday.
Crazy.
I'm Charlie Gibson.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to take a comment. I want someone to make a comment. Who wants to share a comment of what they feel about this video? Like, what is it that you're getting from this video? Who would like to share a comment? Not everybody? Okay. Who? Thank you so much, Monica.
Nope, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just amazing. Yeah.
There you go. It's just amazing. It is, isn't it? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. He can't read or write, but he discovered why he was amazing. Now, why is that important for leadership? The first video I showed my leadership team at the bank was that video. And the reason why I showed that was because we judge people by outward ability. We say, well, you know, they don't read that well. How smart could they be? They're not that creative. How smart could they be? They're not this. They're not that. They're always smiling. I mean, smart people don't always smile. Do you know that they interviewed leaders and they say the happiest people, judge how smart you think the happiest people are on your team. And do you know that most leaders say my happiest people on my team are not the smartest? They actually associate smiling, happy employees with not being intelligent. And you know all the evidence is the opposite? Show you how wrong leaders are. How we can misinterpret how people are. So here's this. We could talk 2 hours about this video. Here's the takeaway. I don't care how many employees you have. We have 2,400 employees at Investors Bank. Here's what I'm going to tell you. We have 2,400 amazing human beings that work for us. And you know what leadership's job is? To find out what makes their team amazing. Everyone was born with something that they can contribute with. They're amazing. Your children are amazing, but they're different. As a parent, you find out what makes my son amazing. What makes my daughter amazing? And it's not going to be the same thing. And that's the same with our teams. So he just actually, if you go on YouTube, there's like 50 YouTubes of this guy. I mean, he's all over the place. But he just made a sculpture out of, if you noticed on the video, he has a gold chain. He always wears this gold chain. He scraped 17 pieces of gold from the gold chain, little tiny pieces, and he created a ship out of the 17 pieces of gold and put them inside of a watch that costs $1 million. You cannot see the ship unless you put it under a microscope. To the naked eye, it just looks like a dot of gold. When you put it under a magnifying glass, it's a ship with 3 sails out of 17 slivers of gold. That's amazing, right? It's not, I'm not here, all right? All right, so let's talk about, let me give you some evidence of people. As a leader, we need to know, what are we dealing with? We have 7 employees, I have 9 employees, I have 30 employees, I have 2,400 employees, we have 60 employees. Harvard University started this brilliance assessment about 50 years ago. There's many institutions that do this right now. You can measure personal brilliance. How smart are our people? Now we're talking about brilliance. We're not talking about book smart. We're talking about intrinsic brilliance. Intrinsic brilliance is like even deeper than book smart. And here's the evidence. They found that when they assess people 30 and older, less than 1% of people test brilliant. In fact, the real number is 0.25. So they have to go through 100 people, 400 people before they find one person close to brilliant. So if you're 30 and older, I'm sorry, guys. Right? You know, now, that doesn't mean you didn't go to college and you don't have book smart. That doesn't mean that, oh, I'm pretty intelligent. You know, I have a high IQ. Good for you. That's wonderful. I'm sure you're proud of yourself. That's not what this is talking about. See, being flexible in life has nothing to do with your education. You're either flexible or you're not. Being kind has nothing to do with what college you went to or what your IQ is. That's just a basic human element. And when I go to colleges and I talk to college students and they say, hey, Dennis, give me the secret to success. All right, write this down. Be nice. You know, like, come on. You think it's easy to be nice? When someone's in your face? Or when someone doesn't like you? Or when someone insulted you? Or when someone, fill in the blank. You know how hard it is to be nice all the time? But that's a secret to success. Because no matter what happens, you're nice. That goes back 6,000 years. That's not New Age thinking. Always be nice. So we look at this and we're like, okay, all right, what does this mean? Well, let's go to the next one. Adults 20 to 30, 2% test brilliance. So numbers are going up a little bit the younger we assess. And then we have the younger adults, 10 to 20. 20% of young adults, 20 to 30, test brilliant. Now, there's a category 4 to 8. 4 to 8. What percentage of 4 to 8-year-olds have consistently tested brilliant for the last 57 years? Just shout it out. Whew, man. 98%. Isn't that amazing that little kids are brilliant? And they're being raised by 35-year-olds. Now that's important. No, that's important. No, that's important. No, think about this. That's important. Because we influence the brilliance of our children with our doubts, with our own limitations we set on ourselves. You see, we measure people based on our own yardstick. And so if you're 35, you think of life differently, and you influence that. See, leadership is about influence. And you influence that on your children. And you tell your kids, now, honey, you know how hard it is to be a ballerina? It's hard. Really, Mom? Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thanks for talking me out of my dream. Don't feel depressed. There's hope. Don't worry about it. Who's ever wanted to be like a ballerina or a singer and you're not there? Didn't we have a dream as little kids? We all had it. We all had. I always wanted to be a rock star. Like I wanted to like sing on stage and everybody throw stuff at me, you know? It'd be good. Well, I'm almost there. Like, you know, I'm up there and I can't sing. I can't sing. But so this is interesting because young children had nothing to do with their brilliance. So what is this telling us? This is saying that we are born with everything it takes to achieve everything in life that we think is important to us. We don't need anything from anyone. You have it. You were born with it. You know what the problem? Someone talked us out of it. So someone said, yes, I was in Delaware yesterday doing the same presentation. Someone said, well, where did it go? It didn't go anywhere. You know where it is? Inside. You know what our job is? The name of the book. It says, release your brilliance. We got to find it, reclaim it. And if you're a leader, then our job is to help others find their greatness, find their brilliance, draw it out. Who benefits? If I could help my team become more brilliant, who benefits? Dennis. I have a more brilliant team, and I don't have to worry, do they have what it takes? They were born with it. Our job is to figure out how to unleash it, how to unlock it, how to get the cobwebs out of the way, right? So this is pretty cool. So now when you go home and you have your 4-year-old, and you're looking at them and they're looking at you, you know they're brilliant. Let me give you an illustration. I'll show you about brilliance. So can we do a role play real quick, me and you? No, you have to look at me now. She's trying not to look at me. She doesn't want to look at me. So we're going to, who wants to do a role play? Who's into a role play? You want to do a role play? Okay. So here's the role play. So your name, tell everybody your name, Bonnie. Her name is Bonnie. We met yesterday. Nice lady, Bonnie. So if you haven't met Bonnie, meet Bonnie. So anyway, so we're going to role play. Now, Bonnie, you come home from work, and remember the refrigerator boxes? Like when you get a delivery of refrigerator, it's a big box. Now to a 4-year-old, what is a big box? Man, that's like whatever, spaceship, a fort. It's whatever you want it to be, right? So now Bonnie comes home from work. I'm Dennis. I'm 4 years old. So just picture me 4 years old, and I'm inside the refrigerator box, okay? So you come home from work, and I want you to be curious now. So I'm in the box. Now imagine I'm inside this box, and I have a little window cut out. You come home from work now.
Hi, Dennis. What are you doing?
Hi, Bonnie. I'm in my box.
What is this box?
It's a spaceship.
Do you want another box?
I have a hard enough time handling this spaceship, okay? I'm only 4. Don't burden me with too much. But aren't you curious about what I'm going to do with this spaceship?
What are you going to do with this spaceship?
I'm going to the moon. Now, do you think at 4 years old, I really imagine this? I'm imagining it. I'm going to the moon, man. You might not believe this, but the moon we're going, okay? So now you're being a nice neighbor, right?
What? Can I come?
Sure. And she has no problem going inside the box. Now, let's forward rewind it. Let's go forward now, and I'm 63. You come home from work. I'm inside the box. Okay, let's talk.
Dennis, what the hell are you doing?
I'm like, going to the moon. You want to come in? No way in the world, right? So think about how through life we start to rearrange how we use our greatness, and we start to use less and less of it. We start to use less and less of our creativity. In fact, the next page talks about all the elements. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Okay, I don't know if we have it in your handout. I'll send it to you in a handout. There's about 28 elements of brilliance, like flexibility, hopeful outlook in the future. You don't see a 4-year-old walking around going, what am I going to do? How am I going to retire? Like, should I do a 401k? I don't even know what that means, but should I do one? They don't worry about stuff. You know what? Two little kids argue. 5 minutes later, they're playing. They forgive very quickly. I grew up in a family, they hold grudges for 22 years. Because I don't talk to my sister. Why? Well, she did this. That was, how long ago was that, Ma? Oh, probably like in the 50s. You haven't talked to her that long? Little kids are brilliant, right? Forgive freely, apologize quickly, all the elements. I'll make sure we have your email. I'll send you the list. I'm surprised I didn't put it in this workshop. Anyway, so let's tie this all in. So we have brilliant employees. We know that we have power to influence ourselves and influence our people. Does this fit into business philosophies? Is this important to business today? Yes, it is. Here's some business forward-thinking philosophies. You know, how we make money, how we spend our time, volunteerism, relational coordinate, break the silos down of your administration or of your company. Like, these are all forward-moving thoughts. This is the one that stands out. Creating personal advantage. That is the missing link. It's the power of the people. It's not the power of the strategy. It's not the power of the plan. It's the power of your people believing in themselves and believing in the mission. And we call that the personal advantage, and we call that personal leadership. Can we teach our people how to take the lead in their life? Not to wait for someone else to fix it. Just take the lead. You see something broken, do what you can to fix it. Talk about it. Don't ignore it. Care about everything. Can we teach employees that? Of course you can, right? So we call that taking a lead. So think about, if you have children, don't you want your children to have that confidence to take the lead and not be influenced by other people that may be giving them bad ideas? Recognize things and take the lead. So as a parent, this is important. But as an administrator and a leader, we could teach our people, man, take initiative. Take the lead. Be involved. You work here / live here. Take the lead. So can this be taught? Of course it can. It's a curriculum. So I'm going to talk about the book. You can teach this. So in your book, you see the head. I have the head there, and you have the rider and the elephant. Interesting. It's an interesting concept. If you've taken psychology, you may have had this in your class. They talk about the rider and the elephant metaphor. Now, the rider is sitting on top of the elephant, and the rider directs the elephant. But who has the power between the two? The elephant has the power. So the rider says, hey, let's go this way, and if the elephant agrees, you go that way. Okay? So let's do the metaphor. The rider is the skill set. Do your people know what they need to know to be great contributors to your team? What do you think? Do you think they know? Now, if you say, I don't think they know, well, then they have to learn it. But even if they learn it, doesn't mean they will do it. I can tell you that firsthand. I've been a trainer for 27 years. Just because people know how to execute has nothing to do with execution. Has nothing to do with execution. People say, well, I don't believe you. And I say, I don't have time. I'm going to get a bagel. I'm not going to talk about it. Just read one book and you'll see that that is an absolute fact. We know how to do things. But what's the problem? The elephant. The elephant's the problem. Because the elephant has all the power. That's the power of the elephant. That's the power of our emotions. If you don't feel like doing it, you're not doing it. I don't feel like doing it. Yeah, but you're supposed to do it. I know, but I ain't doing it. I know, but if you don't do it, you know what? You know what? You're going to fire me? I don't think so. Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do either. And that's the problem. See, leaders have to do what they're supposed to do so that you have freedom of speech to tell your team to do what they're supposed to do. And if you're giving lip service, let me tell you something. I may not be in your face, but I'm looking at you like, man, you are the biggest hypocrite that I've ever worked for because you are telling me to walk a certain way and you're not even copying your own language. Look in the mirror, pal. See, leadership is a reflection. Whatever you're putting out there is what people are going to do. They learn by watching. They don't learn by meetings. Hey, guys, I want everybody to be nice to each other, and then a leader's not nice. When I first started to work at Investors, I was in Metro Park, and we had 3 training rooms, and I wanted to test the theory out of people follow leader. So I bought a vacuum. And my department manager came to me. She goes, Dennis, can I talk to you a minute? She goes, yeah. She goes, why did you buy a vacuum? We have cleaning people that come every night. And I said, I know, but I like to vacuum. She goes, but you're the department head. You shouldn't be vacuuming. And I said, well, one thing you're going to learn about Dennis, I'm really an oddball, and I like to vacuum. It's my classroom. It's my pride, and I argue, and I vacuum. So I started to vacuum. And all the trainers would walk by the training room, and they'd go, dude, look at he's vacuuming. And I knew they were messy. I could see the reflection in my glasses, and I could see them behind me going, this guy's nuts. He's vacuuming. It took about a week and a half before one of my trainers come up to me and he said, how long are you going to be with that vacuum? And I said, I'll be about 5 minutes. He said, you know what I noticed? I noticed that the cleaning people don't vacuum the way they should. So I'm going to start vacuuming. I said, sure, go ahead, go vacuum. You know, once he started to vacuum, within a day or two, all the trainers started to vacuum because they said, I take pride in my class. I want my class to be great. Now, I did that for about a month, and then I stopped vacuuming. We got people that clean. Why should I vacuum? So I stopped vacuuming. Do you know Derek, within 2 or 3 days, he stopped vacuuming. He's like, I'm not going to vacuum either. Do you know it's follow the leader? Now, here's the science to it, if you're taking notes. It's because of mirror neurons. So write that down, pretty cool. It's mirror neurons. There's actually neurons in the brain that's designed to copy what it sees. We're built that way. You have no control. If dad walks like this, guess what? Son walks like this. We copy what we see. And so that's how little children learn how to walk. They watch mommy and daddy walk. It's the same thing with leadership. To be a good leader, you need to lead yourself. You need to have that kind of freedom of speech to say, I'm doing it, now I want you to do it. And people will copy what they say. All right, so why do we spend so much time on this? Well, it's interesting. In one of the books, which is called The Happiness Advantage, and I think I have it up there. We're going to show it. Amount of people that come to work feeling positive, 2%. 98% of people come to work feeling stressed, neutral, or negative. That means 98% of this room might not be negative, but I know you got something stressful going on in your life that interferes with your ability to be happy. And we all know that. We have sick parents, sick children, brother-in-law that's out of work, sister-in-law that's depressed. My sister may be getting divorced. My sister may be getting married. I don't know. Something going on. We all have something going on. And so that's why if we're going to make a shift, we can't eliminate the problems, but we could teach each other and teach ourselves how to be happy in spite of. How can I still bring more happiness and optimism in my life and at the same time deal with the issues I'm dealing with? Because the issues never go away. Life never gets easier. But you could get better. And when we get better, it almost appears like life is getting easier. Isn't that true? Right? So see, pay attention, right? We all want to pay attention to this. So let me keep on going. I'm going to run out of time. Here's 4 things that get in the way. Man, this is like a big deal, right? People complain, people compare. You know, it's like blah, 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 blah. You know who loves complainers? Other complainers, man. Well, you said nobody. But no, if I'm a complainer and you're a complainer, I like you. Because guess what we're going to do for the next hour? We're going to complain. But here's the thing. It's always, now if you share your complaint, Laura, you know what I'm thinking of? Of a better complaint. I'm going to say, you think you're bad? Let me tell you what my boss did. And you're like, oh, that's actually better. Now, let me think. Do I have a better story today? And it just goes on. And it goes on. In fact, Gallup did a study about complainers. Here's what they found. Let me see. Oh, maybe I took that out. They did a study about complainers. Do you know that 80% of the people that you complain to really don't care? No, but that's true. That's how they answered it. Now, they don't tell you that. They'll go something like this. They'll go, oh, really? He said that? And you know what they're thinking in their head? Who cares? I got my own stuff. Are you crazy? Oh, I can't believe that she said that, right? Now you got 20% left. 20% left. You know, 10% of what's left over are so glad you have the problem and they don't. So there you go, man. I'm glad that's your husband and not mine, man. Let me tell you something, right? So we know that. And then you got 10%. They feel like, you know, I feel your pain. And hopefully that's the people that are closest to us that love us. They say, I feel your pain. But think about this. We all have something to complain about. But we don't live in a perfect world. And you don't work for perfect people. And we don't have perfect colleagues. What we have is a team of imperfect, dysfunctional people coming together every day. And you know what we got to do? We got to figure out how to be happy and optimistic in spite of all the challenges of working together. Because people are coming to work stressed. People are coming to work carrying burden. People are coming to work with a sick mom, might not live another month. And they have to come to work and smile. And so we have to take this all into consideration as leaders and say, how do we gel when everyone doesn't want to? And I can't teach that in a conference. You have to learn it by reading. It's called self-education. I'm going to give you some books to read. So this is just you can't really appreciate this, but this is energy in a body. And when we look at energy in a body, look at how energy is in a body. Now, in a better slide, this is all red, all the way down to the toes. Happy people the whole body is energized. People that share love are energized. People that have pride are energized. People that envy and are neutral and have shame and are angry and fearful, you could see their energy is different. And yet angry is energizing, but it's negative energy. So MRIs could actually measure the energy of a person depending upon the mood they're in. When you're happy, your toes are happy. Your skin is happy. Food tastes different. Isn't that true when you fall in love? Everything changes the minute you fall in love. It's like, you got that sparkle in your eye. I know I'm in love. What about when you get pregnant, right? Don't they say, I can see you're pregnant, it's in your eyes. Like it's a whole feeling, right? Right? So it exudes. You ever walk in a room and you know there's a problem? You walk in a room and say, whoa, something going on here. I know, because anger and fear comes out. You could almost smell it. You could walk in and smell the anger in the room. You go, I don't know, man, but there's something going on. And people go, oh, no, what's going on? Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah. All right, so we're going to start here. John Maxwell, Laws of Leadership and 5 Levels of Leadership. They both work together. They're great books to read if you want to learn leadership. This guy breaks it down so easy to learn, right? We're going to go on. So effective leadership. John Maxwell, talent is not enough. Who cares you're smart? Are you nice? Can you mobilize people? Can you influence people? Has nothing to do with smart. Has nothing to do with smart. Here's what he says. More than 50% of all CEOs have a C or C- average in college. That means the people that run the company aren't that smart. But they're influencers. They're leaders. They know how to get people to do what they need to do. That's what leadership is. Leadership is about being able to influence people and mobilize people. And so they say that the owner of the company who's C-level hires A-level people to take care of the books. Right? So really, leadership is about the grit and the guts of working well with people. Has nothing to do with smart. Here's another one. 65% of U.S. senators came from the bottom half of their school classes. Well, that makes sense. But what are senators? They don't get elected because they're smart. They get elected because they influence the voter. We don't hire based on intelligence. If we did that, Washington would be different. But we hire based on personality and influence and magnetism and connecting with the audience. But there's no way to measure smartness on someone that's in the campaign, right? Now let's go to the next one. 75% of U.S. presidents were in the lower half of their school class. Now that definitely makes sense. Because you can't get elected unless you have magnetism. Unless you can inspire people to say, I have no idea what this guy's talking about, but I'm for him. And that's what happens, right? So it's influence. It's always influence. All right, and then more than 50% of millionaire entrepreneurs never finish college. Peter Drucker, he's a management guru. He said that there seems to be little correlation between a man's effectiveness and his intelligence, imagination, or knowledge. Effectiveness and intelligence are 2 separate issues. You do not have to be that smart to be effective. And just because you're smart doesn't mean you're effective. So let's talk about the 3 laws. The law of the lid is the first one. I gave you all the laws in the handout, but I'm going to talk about the law of the lid. The law of the lid says the ability to determine a person's level of effectiveness. There's a lid involved. And then there's the law of influence. True measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. A leader has to turn around and says, who's doing what I'm asking them to do? And if no one's doing what you're asking them to do, you got to work on your leadership skills. They always say, turn around and see who's following. If nobody's following, all you're doing is taking a walk. But you're not leading, right? Because there has to be someone behind you that's going to be following you, and that's because you inspired them. You influenced them for whatever it is your message is, right? So, and then the last one is the law of Big Mo. Momentum is the leader's best friend. So we're going to go through this. Here's the law of the lid, cute little illustration. We're all capped out on what we believe to be true about our own abilities. As you read, your lid starts to rise because you're educating yourself about something. So how do you raise your lid? Self-education. I'm going to give you a couple books you can read besides Maxwell. So here, leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lid on his potential. So our effectiveness determines our potential. Comes right out of the book. But what Maxwell does is he spends a couple of pages really diving into that. You know what I'm selling right here? You're not going to learn about leadership here. You know what I'm selling? I'm selling you to buy the book and read the book. I'm trying to tease you to say, you know, it sounds like something I really should get. Yes, get the book and read it. And then all this comes to life and you say, well, it makes sense. Okay, I could do that, right? All right, the next one, hire an individual's ability to lead, the higher the lid on his potential. Raise your ability, raise the potential. It's important that we don't mix leadership and a limit. There is no limit to your lid. The more you educate, the more you practice, the more you learn, you just keep on going. There's no cap on this. And you can just keep on going. And where do you use this most? In your personal life. See, you own it. It's not like an employee a work strategy. This is a life strategy. So, your potential is limited. The story of the human race is the story of men and women selling themselves short. True or false? Do you think we sell ourselves short? I think so. I know Dennis does. We always sell ourselves short. You know, there's two words that are in mankind that really destroy our ability to really be productive, and that's I can't. I can't do that. I can't fix this. I can't learn that. I can't. And that's really not true, right? But you have to work through that. Here's some language that tells you that you have to raise your lid. I'm stuck. I'm maxed out. I'm stressed. No matter what I do, nothing works. You know, that's like the clear flag that says if you're saying I'm doing everything and nothing works, that's the clue. You've hit your lid. There is more, but you got to crack through your lid. And that requires personal development, reading the books, right? I've taken it as far as I can go. There's not enough hours in a day. I mean, it's in your handout. It's all there, right? Here's 3 books I think are great. Habit, Switch, Happiness Advantage. Don't need to talk about it. You already have it. The first book I would read out of the 3 is The Happiness Advantage. It's the case study of how happiness drives results in organizations. All right. The Law of Influence. You know, it takes you to influence you in order to influence someone else. They call that freedom of speech. You can't sell what you don't have. So if you want people to be passionate, you got to be passionate. You want your kids to be passionate, mommy and daddy's got to be passionate. You want your kids to be honest, guess what? Mommy and daddy have to be honest, right? So we lead by how we run our lives, right? So let's talk about that. Leadership is influence. Now, this is all in your book, so I don't have to go through all this. But Zig Ziglar said something really good. Zig Ziglar said you can have everything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want. You know what people want? People want to be happy. People want to feel proud of themselves. People want to feel like they're important, just like everybody in this room. So whatever you think you feel like having or want in your life, that's what your people want. And if you're a leader, your job is to scratch your head and say, how do I deliver it? How do I get people to feel and get what they want just like I want that? And that's how you draw people out. The book really goes into that. The Happiness Advantage goes into that. Influence people. Start with listening to people. Seek to understand. It's interesting. Seeking to understand means that when someone talks, what should you do? Listen. Keep your mouth shut. And don't worry about your response. Just listen. So, rule of thumb on seeking to understand, which comes out of the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When you're talking to someone, ask them 5 to 7 questions all the time. How was your day? Good. What was good about it? Well, you know, we had a good time with our family. Oh, yeah? Why was that a good time? What family? Okay, really? You want to know all that? I do. Well, we got together. Why? Well, we had dinner. What'd you eat? Why was it fun? And you know what you're going to find out at the 5 or 7 questions? You're going to find out what they're talking about. But I know sometimes if you're a parent, kid comes home, how was school? Good. Good. Okay, dinner be ready in 20 minutes. And we have no idea what's going on. We could do that at work. How's it going? Going good. Oh, good for you. We have no idea what they're talking about. Do you know we communicate less now because now we're on our phone? You know, they got to come out with an app for love. You think they'll come out with that? But there's no app for love. There's no app for connection. We can communicate, we can't connect. And we talked about it over lunch. The more we get more technical, the less we connect. Leadership is about connecting the heart, not communicating. Influence is about connecting. All right, so here's some myths I'm going to ask you to fill in. Myth number 1, management myth. Leading and managing are the same. No, they're not. But I don't have time to explain the difference, but they're definitely not the same. We're going to wrap it up. He's telling me to wrap it up. Okay, 5 minutes. All right, the next one, entrepreneur myth. People assume entrepreneurs are leaders. Knowledge. Pioneer myth. Position. Oops. So you can fill that in. All right, this is a 2-hour workshop. I'm squeezing in 1 hour. All right, so you got that all. If you read the book, you're going to get all this. So let me give you some more books. But here's the thing. People will do what they want to do when they feel like it. So you need to remember that. They're already trained. How do we get them to do it? You got to get their emotions aligned. The elephant, they call it the 85% factor. These are 3 books that will help you do that. And it's in the handout. Primal Leadership, Tribal Leadership, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. 3 absolutely phenomenal books on what you need to know to influence people around you. They're great books. All right. We want to get the elephant and the rider going the same direction. That's the key. When you walk out of here, just remember about the elephant. All right. Here's 2 more books on momentum. Radical Leap, How to Re-Energize Yourself, Your Family, and Your Team. Unbelievably great book. They should make a movie out of this. It's a great fable about a surfer in San Diego. It is a great book, and it's just great. And then we have the compound effect, how little things will compound to great success. It only takes little things. I have a list of things in the handout of everything I'm responsible to do at Investors. All these things are driven to get people engaged in a company. We do a lot of stuff. Getting people engaged is not easy, but we have a list of stuff. If anyone's interested in anything I do, just give me a call. I'll be happy to share with you some of our events. Here's 3 assessments that's in your handout. You can measure your leadership lid by going online and taking these assessments. So we have that. So you could start from there. Okay, I'm going to do one more experiment, then we're done. So this will only take 2 minutes. Just smile, say, okay, 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes, okay, good. All right, here we go. I want to try something, and this has to do with influence, okay? You don't have to remember everything. I'm going to show you some addition problems. You're going to add it in your mind. If you've taken this last year, just play along. Add it in your mind. At the end, I'm going to ask you to write something down, and I want to see if I can influence you today, okay? So here's the first one. Just add this up in your mind. You don't have to remember the answer, so don't write it down. Just add it up in your mind. Everybody got the answer? Okay, going to give you the next one. Add that in your mind. Don't remember, just add it. All right, now get your pens. I need everybody to get a pen. I'm going to ask you to write something down. Now, the first thing you see in your mind, you're going to see the picture in your mind. As soon as you see the picture, write it down. So I'm going to ask you what to look for, but it'll show up very quickly, okay? Here's what I want you to write down. A color and a tool. Write it down. Color and a tool. You see it, just write it down. Color, tool. Color, tool. You see it. Hi, how you doing? They're videotaping this. Ah! Okay, so color and a tool. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Who wrote something down? What'd you write? Nothing. Okay, what'd you write down? Red saw. Okay, what'd you write down? Red screwdriver. Okay. Who wrote hammer? Who wrote hammer? Whoa, we got some hammers in here. Okay, okay, all right. So do that again. Keep your hand up. Let me just see. What? It's close to half the room wrote hammer. Then we have some screwdrivers. Who wrote black axe? Good. Not good. You wrote black axe, okay? But I think that's covered under health insurance, so you could get the... All right, so here's the thing. You can't influence everybody, but you can influence a lot of people. And in about less than a minute, I influenced half the room to say exactly what I wanted you to say. Now, we are always, our brain is a sponge, and it absorbs all the time. Don't ask me how I did it. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you. But here's the takeaway. Here's the takeaway. It doesn't take long to influence yourself. It doesn't take long to influence your team. I am so happy to be here. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'll see you guys later.